My name is Angus.
And my name is Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm ready.
yeah. So, good week for the pod team. 65 points. The pod team has moved up to 158th. So we have Vatchlik in goal for 4. We captained Giles for 8. We had Amatodzic 6, Bogle 8, Matson vice captain for 9, Chair 10, Sar 2, Ndi 3, Zaruri 4, Akpom 2, and Victor 9. So I think that gives us another win. So we just keep marching on. I think that's 3 in a row now. Um, um, but yeah, and so that's gone well for us. We'll just have to work out what we're doing now with regards to the doubles with this team, give or take. Yeah. Yeah, so 58 for me. Batcher can goal for 4. Nice for him to get subbed off. So he didn't even get sort of the full, ruled himself out of the full clean sheet. I had Giles captain for 8, Kamara for 3, Amatodzic for 6, Matson for 6, Chair for 10, Sar vice captain for 3, and Di 3, Zaruri 4, Victor 9, and Yates 2. So up to 76th, which was a 3 place green arrow. So flying. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I got 49 minus 4. My transfers were McBene and Gelhart in for Chair and Akpom. Obviously, I'm building towards the budget buster in 33 with 11 players, so I've sort of got to take risks, and I know I'm going to lose points, but I'm hoping I'm going to gain it back in 33. Captain NDI for 6, Vice Giles for 6. I had Johansson for 6. Powell came in for the injured Drame. Omatodvich 6, Sar 2, Benny 3, Diallo 3, Victor 9, Yates 2, and Gelhart 5. Um, Brownhill first on the bench for 10, which is a bit of a disaster. Um, so overall, I went down about 12 places to 109th. But yeah, I like I said, I feel like I sort of got away with it. Pookie and Nagpom blanked, which I didn't have, who I was massively thought would return. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to take another -4, -8 this week. So yeah, I have no idea who I'm captaining, so that could be adventurous. Yeah. Yeah, so Birmingham made a few changes. Hannibal, Bakuna, and Jukovic are in for Friend, Kadira, Kadra, and Gardner. They changed to like a 4-4-2, but it looked like a diamond at times. Trusty played at left back. Um, um, yeah, and with Djukovic and Hogan up front. West Brom were unchanged. I was just really impressed with Birmingham. I always find Birmingham quite an entertaining side to watch, especially this year with you've got flair players in Hannibal, Chong, and Bakuna that on their day they can probably cause problems to any team, and that's exactly what they did against West Brom, just straight from the off, high pressing, a lot of energy in centre mid. Um, they won a free kick, and Hannibal Button was probably out. Well, he was too far out of his goal, but it was well worked, and he caught the keeper off guard. So that was his first goal. And then from set pieces, they caused a lot of problems. And when you think of West Brom, you think of them as a good set piece team, either attacking or defending, but they just couldn't deal with it. Numerous times, Trusty or the centre backs had chances on goal, and eventually the second one came through Bielik in the second half. Assist from Hannibal. Yeah, just I left this match like really impressed with Birmingham to the point where I know they've got the double and they've got quite a few budget busters, and one of the games is Norwich, and I'm thinking, well, they going forward, this Birmingham side can cause Norwich trouble. I think. I don't know what you've got to say, Angus or Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, I originally wasn't going to watch this. I thought it was going to be sort of really dull, and I ended up putting it on, and I was just really entertained by Birmingham. Like I say, I think Button got Joe Bryant, and yeah, I mean, he also really didn't cover himself in any glory on the second goal. He sort of tries to come for it and just gets caught completely out of his goal. Just up against some players. It was like, we've spoken before about how bad David Button is, and I think he sort of, really showed it in this game. So credit to him for that. But Birmingham, yeah, I thought they were really good. Getting all those players on the pitch together, I think, like you say, with the likes of Hannibal and Chong and Bakuna, really helps them and really makes them, a threat to teams. That being said, I was surprised how much joy they had against West Brom as well. Particularly if we're talking budget buster, I think you could say any of the defenders really. I'm not sure whether Long qualifies because he joined from Burnley, didn't he? But yeah. But so I was thinking primarily Collan, Trusty, and Sanderson. I think you can make arguments for any of them. Ruddy as well. I think he'll be one of the better goalkeepers for it as well. And I think you could also make arguments for someone like Hannibal, particularly that with how many of the set pieces he's on, and Hogan.
No, I think they're the main ones. We wanted to talk about Trusty because he scored 4 goals this season, and he's a set piece threat. Very interesting that he went to left back. So in theory, he's got even more chance of assists or goal, or potential attacking returns. So I'll be interested if that was just a game for West Brom or whether they stick to that. Yeah, it caught me by surprise. I thought it was going to be Bakuna left wing back because at times he had played there, but it definitely wasn't. It was definitely more of a diamond. So yeah, as Angus mentioned, all them are pretty much on the radar. I'm definitely going to bring in a Birmingham defender, and I might be tempted with Hogan. I don't think there's much in them, to be honest. I think if Trusty goes back to centre back, then Collins probably got assist potential, whereas Trusty will have the goal potential. So I'm not sure it's too much in it. I think I might just go Trusty, maybe just for minutes, probably more guaranteed minutes. But like I said, it's not really any different.
It's sort of much of a muchness between the three of them for me. I think you could lean any which way. I have a long-standing sort of love for Collan, so I'm going to say him. Personally, that's the way I would go. Like I said, because of the set pieces, that's what I'd be looking at personally.
See, it's interesting because he's a walking yellow card, though, because Hannibal, isn't he? And
Yeah.
he gets subbed off quite a lot because a lot of the time he's on yellow cards and things like that. Whereas Bakuna, I think he gets like attacking returns like quite frequently, and he's also when he does, I think he's quite good for bonus because he tries like key passes and things like that. But I think there's probably better options in other teams, especially midfield, that I'd probably either go a defender or Hogan, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be in a rush because, like you say, you wouldn't necessarily want to start them in all of those games, but a couple of them you'd be perfectly happy starting them. So particularly, if you're in a situation where you're having to sort of bring other players in and you have to start some of these players while you're bringing those other players in, one of those, for example, Birmingham defenders is the perfect example of someone you can do that with.
Yeah, pretty much agree. I think we've had Colin in the pod team for ages, and most of the time he's just been on the bench. But
seven pointer on the bench this week.
He's going to play, so it's just a nice player to have at a decent price. Yeah, so for Sheffield United, McAtee and Sharp were in for Osborne and McBurney. And for the for Swansea, Norton was in for Latibeaudier, who I think is injured. Yeah, I thought this was going to be quite an entertaining game. Just mainly because that's the way Swansea set up to play, and it suits Sheffield United when teams attack them. Once again, an assist for McAtee for Berger's goal. Great finish, side-footed into the bottom. We then had Robinson, the centre-back, scoring, sort of just fell to him in the box. And then McBurney won it. Well, not won it, but scored late on to seal it for 3-0. Bit disappointed, captain NDI, and when one of the top teams score 3 and their main striker doesn't get a return, it feels a bit of a letdown, but he's a good option going forward. My main point for Sheffield United was the amount of goals they're scoring from set pieces. I think they've scored the most number in the league. I know Ahmedhodzic has scored a lot. I think 4 or 5 goals this season in all competitions. Egan, Clark, Robinson have all chipped in with goals, and it's just the delivery from Norwood. Just really good delivery. That's my main point. There's not many teams where I would advise getting a centre back, but I think you've had Egan at times, Jamie, and I've had Ahmedhodzic for a while. Unfortunately, the goal he scored recently was in the FA Cup, so we didn't even get the points for that. But yeah, I think Sheffield United, when they're playing against a weak team from set pieces, which Swansea were, I think a centre back's not the worst option. I'd go Ahmedhodzic, I think. I do like Lowe, though, at left wing back, and I think he's undervalued, but he's just constantly getting injured, and I always get the feeling Heckingbottom quite likes Ender Stevens, even though I think Lowe's a lot better than him. So I think I've definitely thought about doubling up because I'm planning on overhauling in 34. So it'll be Bogle and probably Ahmedhodzic for me.
I think it would be two of my favourite players, Ahmedhodzic and Bogle. Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's easy particularly when we're speaking in Gaffr terms to sort of overlook Ollie Norwood. He's sort of there in the midfield, sort of ticking along, and we're sort of like, oh, look at Lowe and Bogle and Ahmedhodzic and Ndiaye and McBurney, and like Ollie Norwood quietly is the 9th highest scoring midfielder in the game. He's got 144 points this season. He's sort of, when you think about it, he's close in points to the likes of Fleming. And, we don't think of him that way. I think in this game he had 5 key passes. and hit the woodwork. And it's just sort of like, he just keeps producing the points. I'm not necessarily saying to people go and buy Ollie Norwood, but it's just incredible that it's one of these players that you just completely overlook. And we're sort of 2/3 of the way through the season, and there's Ollie Norwood in the top 10 midfielders in the game, sort of thing. Um, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So for QPR, Dickey and Armstrong were in for Clark, Salter and Willock. For Millwall, Watmore um, coming from Middlesbrough. It was his first start against QPR with Bennett leaving the team. Um, and it's just another good performance from Millwall, who are going slightly under the radar. They're now in the playoffs. I think that they're fifth. Got a game in hand or two ahead of most of the other teams. Got Fleming again with an assist. I say again, I think it's probably one of his first assists of the season. Um, for Watmore, and then the other new signing, Oliver Burke, who came back. He was here previously last season. He got another goal. So you just look at their attacking options, and although it's not probably top end, it's just more squad depth that they have for the ability to rotate in a 3-game week. And um, we've known for a while that they're quite good defensively. They set up quite well, and a lot of the times over the last couple of years, the reason why they've missed out on the playoffs is because they've not been good enough going forward. But if they've had in Fleming, Watmore, Burke, Bradshaw's probably having a better season than he has. Also, Honeyman. I think you've just got more options, so that can make a difference. Um, and Millwall have only lost 2 of the last 9 games. Um, I'm just quite impressed by with Millwall. Although I don't think I've had a Millwall player all season, but that's going to change very soon with their doubles coming up. Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's a little bit tough with Millwall because they're slightly less almost under the radar this season, so there's not as many options from them. I think for me, Bradshaw and Honeyman, the main ones I'm looking at. I get the appeal of Duncan Watmore, but anyone who's listened to this podcast this season will know that if someone is not going to pick Duncan Watmore, it's me. There are certain hills I'm willing to die on. There are certain stances I'm willing to admit I was wrong, and others that I will not. And Duncan Watmore falls into the latter of those. So he is an option for other people. He is not an option for me. Um, is the best way to put that. Yeah. No. I think Burke is the other one. I mean, obviously he's just come in. He's got a goal off the bench this weekend. It's a little bit of a punt. You'd maybe want to see what happens in 32. Does he come into the lineup, or is he still on the bench? Because I think if he's still on the bench and you're having to sort of, hope that he's going to come into the team, that's not really something you're wanting going into something like Budget Buster.
Yeah, it's a real tricky one for me because of the way that the fixtures have fallen and my strategy. They've got two really hard games in 33 on paper, although they are both at home, and we know Millwall at home, they're one of the best teams at home for a long, long time. But with it being Sheffield United and Burnley, and on a budget buster, I'm in the position of, is it really worth going for a Millwall player? Like, I think if in that instance, I'd probably want a defender, but none of them qualify. So you're then going, is Bradshaw going to score against Sheffield United or Burnley? Maybe, but is there better options? I'm more interested in them in 34 when I'm overhauling into their double of Luton and Stoke. Someone like a Fleming or Long, the goalie. I think for me personally, I'm not ruling out having any of them in 33, but I think for me, I'm more looking for them in 34. But I can understand why people will be looking for them in 33. Yeah. I think that question probably needs to be put towards Angus because he's overhauling it into this week into 33. So I think it's like I said, it's two different strategies.
Oh, I thought this question was going to be put to me because I've sort of been the most positive on Millwall since like the summer.
Yeah.
I think with their defense, it's not the worst idea. And the points this season would probably back it up. I would sort of push towards Cooper. He's comfortably outscoring the rest of them, which helps. He's the most reliable to play. Like, particularly now, Murray Wallace seems to keep just, dropping out of the team every so often. He picks up like a little injury or an illness or something. It's just like, sort of less reliable. Where Cooper, he's there every game. He's a set piece threat because he's just a big bastard. So he's probably the one that I'd be looking at.
Also, with them playing back-to-back doubles, there's also got to be a worry with rotation, especially
where someone like Cooper is going to play.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's the same for me. Like in 34, does a Bradshaw miss out? Does a Watmore miss out? Whereas I think maybe even a Honeyman or a Fleming miss out, but someone like maybe not Fleming, but a Long or as you said, a Cooper, maybe a Fleming, they play, but maybe someone like a Watmore or a Honeyman, they get rested. So it's going to be tricky. This is the most we've ever spoken about Millwall on a podcast. Yeah, so Murich was in for Peacock Farrell, and Woodburn was in for Preston for the suspended Evans, who I think he got done after the game.
Yeah, it came out on, I think, Friday that he'd got a 4-game ban.
That's a long game. Yeah, look, it's Burnley. We've spoken about Burnley so much, but we have to talk about Teller. I'll let Angus start because I know he's got something funny to say about it.
Yeah, so I guess the starting point for me is to say one of Nathan Jones's biggest errors at Southampton is not recalling Nathan Teller in January. I get that there's actual logical reasons for leaving him in the same place, but yeah, sure. No, I, in all seriousness, I get why they're leaving him there for continuity, but I do think at times this season it's sure looked like Southampton could use a player like Nathan Teller. But yeah, obviously he's sort of, he's had a great game. He's great game here. He's been in great form. And he's played in multiple different roles in that attack and done well in all of them. He's played out wide. He's played as sort of a 10. I think he's played on both wings now. He's played left and right. At one point, he filled in as the striker as well. And yeah, he's just done really well.
It seems like, I know we've laughed about Barnes this season, but it seems like he's helping the attacking players, especially Teller, because I think he's dropping in and it's making Teller able to do the diagonal in behind him. I know I didn't obviously watch this game, but against the Norwich, it was clear that was what they were trying to do. And yeah, he's just really good form. It's not on a budget player, buster player, but Burnley have a double. So if you're going on a completely different strategy, it's not the worst player to bring in for their double. Yeah. Who might not be a budget player.
For now. He's 6'4".
It's hard because I know everyone's got a different strategy, which is great for the budget bus. I'm going full in on it. So I'm having 11 players. It's either going to go massively well or it's going to be a nightmare. So I would probably get rid, but especially as I'm overhauling out. But like I said, some people, I think everyone thinks everyone's just going to hit budget buster in this. Maybe people play triple, budget buster someone else. So just because we're playing it this way, people might play it other ways. So yeah, I think most people will, but it's like not everyone does. And sometimes you've just got to see that sometimes the best strategy hasn't worked. Like in that Jeeper Keeper the other week, people who triple, they hit massive scores. So there's obviously the best way is not the most common way is not always the best way, and so yeah, I know it seems like it's hard, but like Norwich players, Burnley players, they're being massively undervalued, where they could go off and massively destroy my budget buster week. What about Preston? Because they double in 34. Any players for Preston? No. Okay, we'll move on.
I mean, for you, Jamie, there's the obvious answer. Yeah.
Do you know? I'm not saying it because we've got the lap on Wednesday, so I'm not saying anything bad about Preston in this thing.
I think it's tough with them because they're not playing that great at the moment, but they're capable of sort of pulling out a result at any point, even if they don't look like it's coming. But I don't really know who you'd go to. I guess people could go to sort of, someone like the old reliable like Brady. I think if you were going for a forward, Cannon would be the one I'd look at, particularly with Evans being out suspended. I think that will take him to the first game of 34. So yeah, I'd potentially look at him.
Yeah, so Cardiff, Romeo was back at right back. He'd been out injured for quite a while. They were playing O'Dowda at left back. It was sort of a 4-4-2. Jaden Philadine Badace was on one wing and Ojo was on the other, with a new signing Cabba up front with Robinson. For Borough, they were unchanged, the normal front four. I went into this game thinking Cardiff, this is the sort of game Cardiff might get a point or something, just because I'd seen them against Lewin, and the longer the game goes on, the harder it can be to break them down. But Middlesbrough didn't seem to have any problems. The best thing for me, as I'd sold him, was Akpom didn't get a return in 3 goals, which somehow I managed to dodge bullets in that game as well. But yeah, Archer with a goal and assist, Force with a goal, and Riley McGree popping up last minute with another goal. Zach Stefan again with another mistake, passing it straight to Robinson, who set up a new signing, Cabba, for his first goal for the club. I feel bad, but we're at the point with Middlesbrough where I'm just saying the same thing. They're a really good team. Probably definites for the playoffs. Interestingly, they've got Sheffield United this week, so you never know if they win that. Maybe second place is on, but I think they're just going to comfortably get in the playoffs. I did want to mention about Carrick, I didn't quite realise how good his record is. They played 15 games in the league, won 11, drawn 1, lost 3, scored 31, conceded 15, and got 34 points in that period, which that's 2 points per game. Normally that's promotion form, but you've obviously got Burnley and Sheffield United in it this year. Yeah, I just think because everyone expected Middlesbrough to be up there now, and they've been up there a while, I think we forget they were near enough bottom, 15 games ago, and now he's taken them up and comfortably going to get in the playoffs now. So, yeah, it's just one of those. I just think maybe he deserves a bit more credit than he's probably been getting.
Absolutely. Well, I just think it's interesting because we've been talking about the different attacking assets in Middlesbrough's team, and we haven't really discussed McGree. And he's been playing basically every game, and he's been involved in everything. But it's not sort of it's not wrong. But we've been talking about the likes of Archer and Akpom and even Fours, and we've mentioned Crooks, but we haven't mentioned McGree really. And he's got a goal here. I think he does decently in the bonus because he gets some key passes, given that he's in that attack as well. He's only 6 million to get into that attack as well, and he's playing basically every game, and he's great.
You got the
to be fair, you bought Crooks without checking, so that's your own fault.
Yeah. Are you going to play him though? Yeah. I think it all depends. Like I've said before, I'm going properly full in doubles, budget buster. So I'm basically getting all them in, taking hits, dead ending my team, and then I'm overalling out. So I've had to take the risk on that Pong. I got away with it. I took Chair out, didn't get away with that. Like I mentioned, they've got Sheffield United, where if he scores against Sheffield United, then fair play. I wouldn't have captained him, so I've got to take a risk because I've got to get all these cheap players in, and Akpom was one of them that I took a risk with, and it's paid off. So look, you're keeping him, so I can understand you're keeping. I can understand why people might only go with 7 or 8 in the budget buster, but for me, I'm going to go all in on it, and it might work out that it'll be pretty similar level. I might just lose all the points in the build up, but gain them in the budget buster. But I'm sort of looking at it as a 3-game period where budget buster 33, oval 34, triple 35. Hopefully my team will still be set up for the rest of the season. I'm hoping that I might lose out initially, but until the end of the season, I think this puts me in the best position to climb the rankings. That's it.
So I'll focus on Akpom and Giles specifically because I think those are the main two that people have. If people have like a Barlasser or whatever, it's a completely different conversation, particularly because he's not starting at the moment. If you still have Isaiah Jones, get help because I don't know why you've still got him. Giles, I think, depending on sort of your structure, what your plan is, I think he's perfectly fine to bench in 33. If you're going for a budget buster with 11 doublers, say, even if it's not 11 budget players, if you're going for 11 doublers, then Giles is perfectly fine to bench and then sort of, still have for afterwards. Akpom, depending on what exactly you're doing, I think is perfectly fine to play as a budget player in 33. He's got an individual game against QPR. Teams seem to be having a lot of joy against QPR at the moment. We've seen Akpom have multiple sort of like double-digit returns recently in single games. If he does that on Budget Buster, I think there was one recently where he got 16 points in a game. If he does that on Budget Buster, that's 40 points. Like, that sort of thing makes it theoretically worthwhile. And, as the pod's resident, sometimes we overrate doubles sort of person, I do think that there is something to particularly someone like Akpom still being viable on Budget Buster if that's the way you're going in 33. Yeah. Yeah.
Sunderland were unchanged. Reddin, Sarr, and Carroll came back in. From what I gather, it wasn't a great game, especially first half. Apparently, Ince went to spoil the party. Didn't manage it. But we've mentioned so many times it's so hard to keep that dynamic young front four quiet, and they've also got options of the bench. So if Diallo doesn't score or Clark, they've got Roberts, who finally did get the goal. And I just think the main question with Sunderland is because basically their whole team qualifies for Budget Buster. Like, you need three of them, and it's which three you go, which could make a massive difference in a double game week like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think there's been times where I think he's gone under the radar. I know he didn't start for a bit, but we know the talent he's had, and when we've been talking about like the likes of Diallo and Clark and Stewart before his injury and everything, I just think like Patrick Roberts has been ticking along quite nicely and sort of growing into the season. I think it took, particularly because he didn't play for a bit, it took him slightly longer to get going, but I think he's really started to hit his stride now. I mean, in this game, he scored the goal. Another one we talked about, sort of key passes. He had 4 key passes in the game as well. So, he's had, I think, 3 shots and 4 key passes. So he's clearly very involved at the moment. And I think, he seems to finally be hitting his stride, and the way they work in tandem with Diallo currently playing the 10, but when he drifts out to the right-hand side and you've got him and Roberts essentially doubling up on that side, it's deadly against teams. Yeah, I mean, I remember when he came through.
I
I remember
remember
when
him
he
at
came through
Fulham.
at Fulham. He
Yeah,
was, he was going to be, absolutely massive. And he moved to Man City, and basically ruined it. Yeah.
yeah. This is hard because I'm not sure how good they are defensively, which is the main problem because they're so attacking. At times they are left quite open, but I sort of want to get on one of the fullbacks if possible. I'm a bit wary with rotation. Is Gooch nearly back, Angus? Do we know?
In theory, but given that every time he comes back, he gets injured again. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, I think Hume is a really good option, 3.9, and apparently he's doing quite well. I know Elise on the other side is also doing quite well, but they have got Sirkin, who I think there's more likely to be rotation there. And then you got he was out with concussion, wasn't he?
Yeah, he missed. He's sort of due to be back very soon. They decided to take it a couple of extra days after he'd had a concussion. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like Ballard, but that 4.9 is a little bit of a concern. Danny Bath, yeah, he's fine. I'd probably put the likes of Hume and Elise ahead of him, but he's sort of the more quote unquote solid option of them.
I actually is it Sunderland who haven't scored from a corner this year? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Or they hadn't for a while.
I was about to say I don't know.
So yeah.
No,
One.
just one. Yep.
Yeah. They are, but I would like to point out that Pritchard is back now and he is coming on around 60, 65, and in a double could easily start. Um, my guess is Diallo's probably the most nailed, but there could be rotation there, I think. I've got Diallo and I would go with him, I think.
Yeah, he's the most nailed and the best player. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Drew 1-1.
I was just going to mention, I've flagged it up already, but I'll flag it again. Mark Sykes, goal scoring machine. Don't know where it's come from, but the man just keeps scoring.
6 games unbeaten in the league now, Bristol City. Yeah.
I'd completely forgotten about him being on penalties as well.
Yeah, he's on pen. I just want to say, because obviously they played Lewin, it's going to be brief. Victor's the best striker in the league by a mile, I think. He's very, very good. Like, yeah.
Vachlik went off injured after about an hour for Huddersfield.
And for Watford, Pedro started.
Oh, I also just want to mention, because it makes me laugh, given that I didn't own him, Ruffles, after being dropped for the double, then showed up for this game. I think so. Yeah. 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 I like it. All the time.
Depends which one you click on. I forget half the time that I'm on the, the one I just end up with Southampton. Yeah, I end up with Southampton today, so I've got to stick on the little one, on the following one.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Like I said, if you're saying 5 players, for me it is Brownhill, if he doesn't go over, probably Diallo. I'll probably miss some. I think a Birmingham defender. Basically, it's 3 Sunderland, Brownhill, and a Birmingham defender.
Morgan Fox. I mean, I guess the answer is Gelhardt.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm going to have Yates just because I brought him in for their double in, was it 30? I'm losing track of.
One of them.
Yeah, 29, was
30.
it? 30. Yeah, so I'm going to have Yates, and I'm really torn because I don't think there's a standout option. I think I'm going to either go Hogan or Bradshaw for the third one.
He's right on the borderline, but I think the main one is Wharton. Yeah, I mean, Rankin Costello's been playing, and I know a lot of people have been looking at him, but Britain was back on the bench this weekend, and you would assume he's going to come back into the team. So I think you're like, even say if you get to 32 and Rankin Costello is starting again, you're buying yourself what could be a problem at any given moment if you go with him, because Britain could just come back into the team at any moment.
Yeah, it could be just end up being a single. Like they could just play because Rankin Costello one game and Britain in the other. So I think Wharton, as Angus said, is the best option, I think.
Yeah. So it really does depend where your team is. Like, my team was just, it wasn't going to get there. Like, essentially, it just wasn't. So I'm overhauling in, where obviously Dan, in a different situation, is able to overhaul out. So yeah. So in 31, just to recap, in terms of the best pick, I won with Giles, who had a massive score of 4. So Dan picked Pookie, who scored 2, and you picked Saar, who scored 2. In terms of differential, the scores we've realised are wrong. Dan won this one picking McBurney, who came off the bench to score. So for now, I've put him in as a 6-pointer, assuming he got no bonus with that goal. I had Zaruri, who scored 4, and Jamie had Casey Palmer, who scored 2.
He nearly didn't start.
Yeah, I was about to say he wasn't going to start until a pre-game warm-up injury. So
he looked good, though, to be fair.
Yeah. So, and then in terms of the flop, I won that one again. I picked John Swift, who got 1 point. In fairness, you both of you did have decent picks at flops. Dan picked Akpom, who got 2. Jamie picked Brereton Diaz, who got 2. But the points from this week, I got 7 points. Dan got 3 points and Jamie got 0, which means that now the standings are Dan has 12 points, I have 11 points, and Jamie has 10 points. So it's very close together. And I'm not sure we've discussed this on the pod, but the method in terms of who goes first is the game week score, not the overall score. Yeah. So for game week 32, Jamie's picking first, Dan's picking second, and I'm picking third. Yeah.
I did check to see who Stoke were playing.
It's Dan.
I just want to see someone's ownership before, because he's either going to be my main player or he's going to be differential.
Mind games.
Yeah. I'm going to go Piero.
Interesting.
Blackpool.
They're playing Blackpool. Ooh. I am going to go with Zarori.
Who did Burnley have?
Watford.
Ooh.
Yeah. I suddenly realised I was sat there looking through teams. I was like, oh, God. Under 5%.
That was going to be my pick.
Dan's strategy ruined.
Yeah. I'm going to go Narky Wells.
And I'm going to go with Gelhart.
Good shot. Yeah. Ooh. I'm going Brereton and Diaz against West Brom.
I like how it just sort of, there's just a rotation of picking Barrett and Diaz. I'm sure he can't wait to leave. Oh, God. Going to go for Ahmed Hodzic. Possibly.
Are Arsenal in Europa League?
Yeah. It'll probably be Thursday. It'll probably be a Thursday recording, which, given that it appears, I don't want to say this for certain because I know it's been wrong before, it appears to be a Saturday deadline.
I don't think it is. I think it's the great game of is it Cardiff? Cardiff Reading.
Cardiff Reading. Cardiff Reading on the Friday night. So yeah. I know Dan likes the shit games, but even that must be
That
testing
one's
you,
bad.
Dan.
That's not even got it. Like what? Like if it was Blackpool Huddersfield, that'd be a game, but that's a test.
It's all right. It's all right. Napoli are playing Friday night. That'll do. Yep. So I will be sort of going through.
I might be out.
I'll go through sorting out all the scores. I think 131 people entered in the end, and the eliminator round gets it to a round of 128. So if you are one of the 3 people that gets knocked out,
It might be.
I feel for you, but yeah, and then I'll be sort of drawing out the rounds, and if I can, I'll tweet them out on Monday night. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Goodbye.
Bye.